Joe Burrow is back on the practice field. When will he be 100%? We'll hear from a pro football doctor, plus thoughts on the Bengals 2024 schedule. Jermaine Burton wears Bengals stripes and much, much more right now on Enter the Jungle. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller, and this is Enter the Jungle. It airs every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern right here on CBT, weekly on Bally Sports. And as always, we're part of the Big Play Network. Shout out to our sponsors, Tipico Sportsbook and Garage Beer. And Andrew, let's dive into it. Joe Burrow back on the practice field. We've seen him for a couple of weeks. He looks pretty darn good. And yet I think we all know in the back of our minds that, yeah, he's still coming back from this wrist injury. It was a very, very serious wrist injury. And so let's start here. I think nationally, there's been some discourse about blood flow getting to the ligament and making sure that it's okay. There's been stuff out there about his bone healing, all of those things. And I roll my eyes at most of it because most of these people have no idea what the heck they're talking about. And that's why we're gonna play the clip of from Dr. Chao in a second. But what do you make when you see stuff like that of, oh, well, who knows if Joe Burrow's gonna get healthy? And it's a talking head, not necessarily a doctor or someone that has any idea what this injury actually.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that made it a little bit more interesting to me was the fact that Burrow himself even said, look, this is not his words, but more or less fairly unprecedented for the position
Mhm.
that he plays and the injury that he has.
I haven't found any quarterbacks that have had this before. Guys that I have talked to have been, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers that didn't have to have that wrist mobility and the little intricacies of the wrist movement like I do.
So, in fairness, even if you have a doctor coming out and saying it, to put in the context of someone that has to go out and throw a football, as much as I'm going to probably go to outside with doctors on this one, in the back of my mind, I'm going, yep, okay, well, we need to actually see this take place. And it's going to be interesting to say the least.
No doubt, it deserves monitoring. What I think is wild is people saying, "Oh, well, he's going to struggle, or he's not going to be himself, or all of these issues that come with this wrist injury for an offensive lineman or for a defensive lineman or a linebacker that's had it or whatever the case is." And the reality is, and what I think is awesome is what Dr. David Chao did right here on YouTube, put this video together, 5 minutes that shut down really any doubt in my mind that Burrow can be back to 100% and uses the medical side of things. This is a former NFL team doctor, by the way. Here's a clip of him breaking down the injury a bit, discussing blood flow, how it impacts things, and why he expects Joe Burrow to be 100% at the start of the regular season.
Blood flow really isn't much of an issue here. He's not going to have cold weather issues. Scaphoid bones have blood flow issues. Fusion have blood flow issues. Ligament repairs acutely typically do not. So that's the other reason for optimism here. Bottom line is this: we stand behind that. We expect Joe Burrow to be fine this season despite a never before seen wrist injury on an NFL quarterback. It was handled well, fixed acutely. Expect him to have a reasonable off-season program and be ready for training camp and 100% for the season.
You can check out that entire interview or that entire dialogue from Dr. David Chao on Sports Injury Central, the YouTube channel. And the other part that he discussed, Andrew, was the position element. There are corners that played through it. Obviously, Burrow couldn't. He couldn't grip the ball. But there's such an immediacy to needing to get the surgery if you want full mobility and you want to heal fully. And that's the other element here that Dr. Chao talked about that I think is interesting, because if he was a cornerback or a linebacker or an offensive lineman, well, you probably wrap it and try to play through it. But you can't when you're a quarterback and you got to grip the football. And so the fact that Burrow had the injury, they knew it, had the surgery right away, he benefits from it. And I think that's why he's so confident in Burrow being healthy and 100% on September 8th when the Bengals play the New England Patriots.
That's the thing that stood out to me as well. I don't know much about Dr. Chao. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Well, we'll just put it out there.
Shocker, shocker.
Right. But I will
You're a
say that
teacher. You're not a doctor.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. We'll grade Dr. Chao's assessment of this later. But I will say that he made a very good point. It's something I had been thinking about. It just hadn't really like put into words, articulated, in that there are people that have had this injury, but because of the position they played, because of the sport that they may have played, they didn't have to react to it quite as quickly. And Burrow seems to have jumped on getting this done quicker than really many people that we've seen an example of. And that gives me a little bit of hope in that, okay, in my mind, again, not a doctor, but in my mind, there's going to be some soreness, maybe a little bit of extra warming up. Okay. And that's it. Maybe because he didn't sit on it for months for the remainder of a season. He jumped on it fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think that element, not trying to play through, again, he couldn't. So that's what's unique about the quarterback element of it. Everyone says, "Oh, unique quarterback." He's never seen a quarterback go through this, and that's true, and that's scary, right? The unknown is scary in life when you're going through something that's unprecedented. It's a big, scary word, but it could also mean that it's unprecedented in a sense that all these other players can play through it. Quarterback, throwing hand, can't get surgery. Oh, instead of a 75% re-injury rate, maybe it's up to 95% that it's going to heal and be exactly what it is, or 98 or 99. And I'm just throwing out numbers there. Don't quote me on any of them. The point is I think Joe Burrow is clearly on track. He's exactly where the Bengals had hoped he would be. He's exactly where he hoped he would be. And that's all you can ask for. And the reason why you want to lead the show this way is because I think there has been a lot of discourse, a lot of discussion nationally, especially about Burrow. How's he going to be? I still get asked all the time, how's Joe looking? Is he all right? And so that's going to continue to be a topic. There's no doubt about it, all the way through camp, all the way into the start of the regular season when everyone's watching him. That will be a topic. But I'm as comfortable as I've been all offseason with where Burrow's at, where his health is, and I expect him to be pretty darn good right away. Like I don't think you do that unless you're confident that he is going to be healthy and confident he's going to be 100% going into September.
And by the way, if you're one of those many people that come to James or your friends, your family members, how's Joe Burrow looking? Is he all right? You watch this show, you watch Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube, you're going to be able to see for yourself.
That's right. Look at you. That's right. That's exactly right. We Cincinnati Burrow Talk on some days, but definitely Cincinnati Bengals Talk every single day. The Bengals schedule is out for the 2024 season. Which game are we most excited about? We will get to that next on Enter the Jungle. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapien, and the 2024 schedule is out. We've already done our instant reaction video. We did a game by game, the schedule game, predictions for every single game, which maybe we'll get yours at some point, Andrew, game by game. But we have 17 games. We know the schedule. We know they open at home. We know that they hit the road for some big matchups. They have 5 primetime games. What game are you most excited about in the 2024 season?
I'm just going to get right to it, James. It's the Chiefs. 2 reasons. 1, it's the Chiefs. 2, it's week 2 of the season. I want to see that they can prove that they're going to get off to a fast start. What better way than to set the example than to completely obliterate and shame the Chiefs in week 2 of the regular season? It's going to set the tone for the 2024 season. It's important. I'm excited for it. I'm not saying everything after that's gravy, but we've seen what these Bengals can do, particularly on the end of the stretch of a season with Joe Burrow under center. We know what they're capable of there. Show me what they're capable of in the early weeks of the season against a huge AFC rival in the Chiefs.
I get it. I do. And I will say this. I'm not sure anyone's more excited than me to go to Kansas City when it's warm or warmish, even if there's a slight chill in the air in mid-September in Kansas City. And I don't think it will be. I know, but I'm used to December and January in Kansas City where the wind rips you apart when you walk out of that stadium at midnight
When you
following
walk out of the
wins
stadium,
on
we're not up in the media booth protected from the elements. When we have to walk from the stadium to our I'm talking about you.
I'm just saying you didn't go to any of those Kansas City games.
No. I'm stuck in my basement working on these videos.
So don't try to play man of the people here when you weren't the one like me that drove 8 hours to Kansas City. You're acting like
you've got the hardship. I see.
yeah, just saying.
Okay.
What'd you do? You rode a bus there in 2013 or something like that. Don't play. But that tailgate lot is huge, and you walk and you just have to walk for days and days and days, and there's no other cars there. Everybody's gone, and so that was one of the colder moments of my life. Probably was walking out there. In that game, the AFC Championship game they lost, by the way. That you talk to any fan that was there, how cold it was. It was just super cold. They should have won the game, by the way. They were right there. Anyways, I totally get that game and why you would make that your pick. At Carolina is a game I'm looking forward to a lot, not because of the matchup, but because I think that's going to be a fun trip for Bengals fans as well. But when I look at this, man, there's something about, and it's scary, and I get it, but you know me, I'm competitive. Spoiler. The Baltimore game, Thursday Night Football on the road, going there 9 days from a year of the wrist injury. Literally, it's just 1 week earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday Night Football, the revenge factor, the idea of you already have beaten them week 5, and now you have a chance to sweep them and put the Ravens out of contention for the AFC North Division. And there's scenarios where that is the case. And so that's the game I weirdly am looking forward to most, because if I'm Joe, I want to go there and I want to hang 50 on them. And like, so that's where I'm at. So from a competitive standpoint, I'm not saying that's the most fun game because it's going to be a really tough one. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but the competitive side, that's what I'm looking forward to a lot, because I think you're going to get a very locked in Joe Burrow. And when you have that, not that he's never not locked in, but when you have that, that's pretty scary.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I understand.
You weren't ready for that. That's the game everyone fears. And what I'm saying is Joe Burrow will not fear it. Joe Burrow will be the opposite. He's going to go in there and insert whatever superhero reference you want. And that's how he's going to be. He's going to put the cape on.
Yeah, I don't know that I fear that one. I know where you're coming from with that assessment on like the fan base in general. I could understand why someone would, for all the reasons you mentioned. The same reasons you're excited for it, maybe the same reasons people fear it. I'm not one to sit there and completely compare and say, okay, well, isn't that a coincidence and therefore we should fear something? But I like the idea of being excited for it for those reasons. I think that's interesting.
I like the challenge. Yeah, I like the challenge of it. And heck, that's Kansas City's going to be a challenge too. You didn't say Washington or New York or any of those games, right? And so from there, let's get to the toughest game on the schedule, the one that excited us most, to now the toughest game. We will get to it coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller. The Bengals schedule is out. Andrew, what do you think the toughest game is on the 2024 schedule for the Bengals?
Here's the thing. I thought about this. I've been really thinking about this, and there's a fine line, blurred lines between the one that I fear and the toughest. And the one that I'm picking here is going to probably be more on the side of the one that I fear. I'm going to be honest here, but I don't know. Bear with me on this. I think that mid-season, like the road trip to Cleveland, it just feels like that game that the Bengals are just going to completely flop based off of history. And I hate to be that person. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to doubt them in that regard. But here's
You're giving the big play guys all this ammo now. Look at you.
I know. And here's the thing. I have confidence that they'll win. But if we're going to talk about toughest, I just think, you've got an 11-week stretch. I just get very, very nervous. I wouldn't be surprised. Who knows? They could win every game up to that point, James. Every game. Just that one. Oh my God. Concerns me. And they shouldn't lose. They shouldn't. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Sure. I get it. I get it's a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup. And I could totally see the Bengals losing that game. That said, the one that I think is the toughest in the Thursday night when I'm a sicko. So the Thursday night one against the Ravens that I said I'm looking forward to most is probably the toughest.
Yeah.
But if it's not that one, it is Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs. It's the team that won last year, even though they were flawed. Kansas City's offense stunk last year.
Yeah.
They stunk. They were so bad on offense. And I can't wait for Chiefs fans to comment like, yo, still got this ring. That's the point. It's a compliment. Your offense stunk so much that one of the greatest quarterbacks ever in Patrick Mahomes had to manage the game. He's a game manager. That was what they had to do. They had to win with defense.
What a compliment, James.
Running the ball, and he had to manage the game. But you had to dial him back. It's like saying, Kobe Bryant, go play point guard and shoot 12 times. It's the only way we're going to win.
Are we saying manage or carry? I want to be clear here. Manage, I feel like, is a bit of a slight in the word of quarterback play.
No doubt. But that's what they needed from him to win.
Okay.
Like, that's what they need. So could he have done more? Of course he could. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the way they were built, the way they were flawed, he had to just manage the game. They couldn't ask him to do the Mahomes stuff. They said, hey, don't turn the ball over. We'll win the game late. Defense, special teams, running game. And it's it's like, so it's not really a slight at him. It's a slight at the roster that he had to play that way. And they still won it all. So the toughest game on the schedule is on the road against a team like that is probably going to be without Rashee Rice. And so I get it. Like there's going to be flaws, but the Bengals are going to be working on some things too. So yeah, that's one. The at Dallas one is certainly a tough one.
Yeah.
But it might not be. Mike McCarthy could be on the hot seat. Maybe it's the opposite, where the Dallas Cowboys are just kind of blah all season. Would not shock me if that's the case. And then the other one, I think the Chargers are going to be good. And so at the Chargers, 425 right before the bye. That's the longest road trip of the year. That's the other one that I think is pretty tough. But you can say either division game on Thursday night for sure.
Sorry, James, you didn't make this whole segment clear. I didn't realize we could pick 4 different matchups as the ones that we.
It's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. I'm just mentioning some other tough situations.
I'll be honest, Chiefs were up there for me as well. I just thought, okay, well, also week 2, like if they lost, okay, we're kind of used to that in this iteration of the Bengals, and we can move on and we can recover. But it might be a second or tied for second behind just my fear of road game against Browns, who for some reason make it happen against this Bengals team right now. I want the narrative to change. I'm rooting for it, obviously. Here we are.
The narrative changes. You know how the narrative changes? They have to block Myles Garrett.
Blood flow in Burrow's hand, apparently.
That's where Trent. Oh, come on. Joe's gonna be fine. I might be the least concerned of anyone. I just think he's gonna be fine.
That's fair.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Fair.
It doesn't mean you don't need to protect him. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't run a little more play action. Of course. I also want to push that ball down to the field. You know why? Well, because you got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase on one side, on the other side, and you got this guy named Jermaine Burton, who was at the NFLPA rookie premiere over the weekend. See Jermaine in stripes for the first time. Coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapien. And the Bengals selected Alabama wide receiver Jermaine Burton with the 80th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Burton, well, he is a speed threat, a downfield threat, averaged over 20 yards per catch last season for the Crimson Tide, had 7 touchdowns, and he was part of the NFLPA rookie premiere over the weekend. And he got to wear the number 81, got to wear the Bengals stripes for the first time. I don't know about you, Andrew, but it looked pretty good. Looks pretty good in those Bengals stripes.
Looks pretty good in those stripes. Not sure how I feel about the number 81. Looks pretty good in those stripes, James.
Here we go.
Here we go. What?
Here we go. Well, you always got to bring this up. Everyone's in on this. He's wearing 81 right now.
He is. It's apparent.
Can we not? Can we just let it go? Is it? I will say, you know how cool it would be if it was 3 like everyone talks about the 5-1-3, but if it's 1 +5 +3 equals 9. Like his top 3 receivers equal Joe Burrow's number. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It all adds up.
That's pretty cool. Now the 513, I get it. Everyone would dive into the area code, but man, the 513, the 5 + 1 + 3, or the 1 + 5 + that, however you want to do it. I like that. I like that a lot, because it's like, oh, I have honestly, 3 downfield threats. And that's what's interesting about Burton, is he gives them a unique element. And who knows, maybe he earns that number 3, Andrew. I still wouldn't rule it completely out.
You've said this, and I'm
Little hope.
I'm
Well,
hesitant
what do
to,
you
like,
think? What do you think about the 81? What if he is 81?
I mean, I can't stop thinking about Irv Smith Jr. What does that say about
Oh
me?
my God.
No, but look,
So when he wears number 3, you're going to be thinking about John Kitna the whole time?
Yeah, it just, okay. It's temporary until it's not, James. It's temporary until it's not.
Yeah, you are just, someone put together you take a collection up, and if Burton switches to number 3, you can they could get you that jersey. That's what
I'm
you should
not
get for
buying an
Christmas.
81 jersey yet, that's for sure.
I get that. I do get that. I think he's going to be a heck of a player, and I think the NFLPA and I think it was Fanatics was the one who put it on. But no,
By the way,
looks good in stripes.
EA, Madden developers, just be ready. Just be ready to change the code. Maybe. That's all.
Change the code. You stink at Madden. Don't even bring up Madden. He's Andrew Fox Miller, aka Mr. Stinks at Madden. I'm James Rapien. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow and ring the bell. And man, another episode in the books. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.